Hey everyone, what's going on? It's Bat here with another Exceed commentary, and today we have another match in Chimera Summer Bash. This is the second match. We've been lucky enough to catch the first two. This is a match between Zeus and MiX. Zeus going to be on red side, taking the Polar Knight, bottom side of your screen, versus MiX, who brought Carmine in his roster. But unlike most of these Carmine mains, it's actually going to be leading with the Ken. A little bit of an interesting choice here. Should be an interesting matchup. Both characters kind of brawly characters. Of course, the Polar Knight with his ability to put ice spikes on the board, just litter all the board. And if the opponent happens to step on one while getting hit, that ice spike can be removed for +2 power on front side, +3 power on back side. Versus Ken, you can't really tell much from the UA, but Ken can close one, draw a card for free. Of course, Ken, one of the Shotos in this game, one of the starter characters. So for those of you looking to maybe get into Exceed, Ken is definitely one of the easiest characters to get into. I don't know what's going on here. I know Zeus is having a little bit of trouble picking up his bag, but that issue seems to have resolved itself. While that happens, we can take a look at the kit here. For Polar, I don't know if they're having technical issues. However, we'll take a look at the kit for Polar. So Polar has a DP shape that does 0 damage, but obviously can be buffed by the ice spikes. His reach as well on that card. We have a Shovel Charge, which is like a weird assaulty shape. Probably the worst combat card in Polar Knight's kit, I would say. I mean, it has its uses, but it's definitely a little bit on the weak side. That boost, though, Shattering Stomp, is extremely powerful. Then we have the Shovel Slam, which is a Force Special with 5 power. So 5 power Force Special can get bumped up to 8 power with the Polar Knight UA. I was thinking about Polar Plow, so we see Polar Knight prepare. Polar Plow, the next card, the sweep that notably hits the entire board and closes in afterward. And then, of course, we have this card. How can we forget this card? This card does 5 different things. I'm not going to list them out for you. Feel free to pause the video at this time so you can read it. Ultras here, we have Rebuild on Icicle Drop as well. So Icicle Drop's a little bit of a niche attack, but with good ice spike positioning, Icicle Drop is pretty good at 8 power. Stun Immune has optional movement on it as well. Rebuild, Season 4 is a lot of these boosts where you can just draw a bunch of cards. Rebuild is Polar Knight's version of it. As we see MiX boost Fierce on his turn, we'll just take a look at the last card here. Snow Slash is basically a block, and actually that's what the boost is called. But when you're hit, you can spend any amount of force for +2 armor, and you actually are able to hit back. It's a little bit expensive, though, at 2 force. But, I mean, if you need armor in a pinch, there's very few cards that are better than Snow Slash at doing that. Anyway, Ken boosting Fierce at range 4. Of course, Ken threatening the Hado. 3-6-4-4. As we see a Shovel Slam dropped to move to range 3 from Polar in immediate response of the Burning Passion, +1 speed, now draw a card. We know MiX likes to stay on a full hand. It looks like the Fierce is getting teched in this scenario from Polar Knights. +1 speed, not the most threatening boost, although it does mean that Ken is significantly advantaged in the next strike. Especially at range 3, there is a range 3 mix-up. I don't know what's going on here. There are counters happening. And now there are a lot of counters happening. As we see Light boosted on top. Oh, actually, we're actually going to see Zeus track his normals in real time. Not too many players do this. Some people find it distracting. I personally used to track the specials and ultras, but I don't really do so anymore. I mean, I don't really play tournaments, so it doesn't really matter for me. But we now have a +3 aggregate speed for Ken. That's pretty scary for Polar Knights. Spike is looking super free here for Ken, especially with 1 tech down as well. Polar Knight's probably going to have to move to range 1, But even when we move to range 1, Ken does have an ignore guard option in Tatsu, and an ignore armor option, and of course the infamous axe kick. So Ken definitely setting up a nasty strike here for Polar Knight to deal with. With one tech down, Polar Knight can boost his own light in response. Can, in theory, move back to range 6 and then just block the fireball. Because the fireball, without the fierce, only does 4 damage, right? Because there's no gauge. You can even trade with the fireball with, of course, the polar plow, which is actually going to be used as a +2 power now strike. This is just asking to get spiked, no? Drops the assault as well. This is just asking to get get struck with the speed 6 spike in response. It's going to be the speed 7 dive instead. Obviously, you're really not going to be blocking anything with the polar plow, or with the polar plow boost overpower. You're not really going to be spending 3 cards to strike with a block. So MiX strikes with the dive instead and deals 5 damage at speed 7. Pretty unwinnable strike there. I'm surprised to see Polar Knight invest so much into it. Pretty, I don't know, that did not feel correct to me at all. As MiX drops the Tatsu. Notably, Tatsu also has quick attack, +1 speed now strike. Pretty good boost, especially when you pair it with Shinryuken, for example. That's the basic combo there to form a 1-11-7. Not bad. As we see MiX boost the custom combo, now draw 2 cards, taking advantage. Oh, we actually have a little bit of a... That's definitely my bad. I should have noticed. Polar Plow's UA does go off. So Sweep was not stunned in that scenario because of the 5 power against the 6 guard of Sweep. So Sweep was not stunned. So the after ability on Polar Knight's UA goes off. I don't actually know if I should off the Polar Knight card as of yet, but you could place an ice spike onto an unoccupied range space within this attack's range in either direction. And that's how they get. That's the primary way for them to get placed on the board. So that's my bad for missing that. Anyway, back to Zeus here. Who fortunately spent a lot of resources. We can see a change or change cards 2 or a rebuild boost perhaps. I mean, it's a rebuild or change cards too. No ice spike was removed. Actually, wait, hold on. This guy, okay. This is a direct mistake, because the rebuild adds to gauge afterward. A little bit of a nuance that I forgot. So, if he just boosted, if Zeus Assassin just boosted I'm assuming Zeus must be a new player. Because if you just boost rebuild instead of using it as the change cards action, it goes to gauge at the end. However, as it stands, it looks like this was used as a change cards action because it did not go to gauge. So, yeah, I mean, looks like, I'm assuming Zeus must be a new player. Because they're just, like, making these kind of elementary mistakes there. So we see a parry come out from MiX. Parry focus. Successful. Back to Zeus here. And again, for those of you that don't know, MiX is probably one of the favorites for the tournament for sure. You got second place in both Junkie Shapes and Junkie Shapes Returns. However, he got both those second places against Calavantis, who is no longer in the tournament. So I think you would consider him the favorite in that case. Anyway, back to Zeus here, who's initiating a strike at range 1. Notably, the only thing that MiX has is a hit gain advantage. It is the shovel drop which misses. Yeah, Zeus is definitely a new player. So this has a before effect of advancing 2 or 3. So this actually would miss against the focus. Maybe Zeus unfamiliar with this character here. We'll zoom in on this card because this card has a lot of effects on it. Ignore armor. Opponents cannot move you. Okay, those don't matter. Before, place an ice spike in your space, then advance 2 or 3. So Polar advances to the corner. Obviously, can't move past it, so must advance 2 or 3. Advances to the corner and then misses. Focus will then, or before that, after an ice spike gets placed at range 1. And then these focus will hit back for 4. Or will hit back for 3 after armor. Yep, and MiX just reminding Polar to put another ice spike down. The ice spike has to be at range 1. So yeah, we'll go here. No other spot for it. The ice spike is actually a mandatory trigger, which is interesting. You have to do it. Don't know why it's a mandatory trigger, but there you go. We see the quick attack come out, +1 speed, now strike. Telegraphs something really fast, like a cross or an assault here. Don't think MiX is playing a spike here. We'll just see if we're going on curve or above curve for MiX. Notably, there is a DP in the kit of Polar, so the assault would not be completely safe. And yeah, it is the cross. Moving back to range 5, now threatening the Hado loop here, which is 3 to 6, 6-4. After, if you hit, you may return this card to the deck. 6 guard, notably not enough to pop the Polar Plow. However, the Polar Plow would hit for not a lot of damage. It hit for 2 damage with 3 ice spikes in between Polar and Ken. So yeah, looks like we're going to see the critical Hado come out from MiX. Just very standard stuff here. Yeah. Polar is going to have to find some way to move in soon. Like I said, can be with the Polar Plow to hit back, but yeah, a little bit of a pickle here for Polar Knights, especially down so much HP already. You're going to be taking 6 more unless you somehow mitigate that with armor, whether that be a block or maybe, I mean, I don't think you spend a focus here or anything, but maybe you do have to spend a focus if you don't have anything. Especially when you're down 19 to 30. And reveal, it is the Hado. It is the Polar Plow as we predicted. So the Hado will go first, will hit for 6, will not stun the Polar Plow. The Polar Plow will hit back for 2 damage, and will close 3, bringing Polar Knight to a better range 2. And of course, Polar Plow will allow Polar Knight to place an ice spike basically anywhere except for where Ken is right now. Looks like we're going to be placing it directly behind Ken at range 3 from Polar, at range 1 to Ken. So Ken so far surrounded by ice spikes, but hasn't found himself on one yet, as Ken takes a massive 15 HP lead. Has 3 gauge to Polar Knight's 1. Both players have similar cards in hand. Hado on top of the deck for MiX, so that's not going to do very much as far as Wild Swings are concerned. I'll probably just have to prepare on his turn. Maybe we'll choose to close 1 as well. We will see. Only 3 gauge for MiX, so no Shinryuken online yet. The other Ultra, is online. Gurin Senpukiyaku. 1 to 2, 5, 4, 4. Advance 2 if you did not move past the opponent, +3 power. However, especially with 1 dive already down, I foresee that this will be used for a True Master. But instead, we are going to see the custom combo get boosted for MiX second copy. Now draw 2 cards, taking advantage. Basically, a very easy way for Ken to draw cards. And a little bit of a bonus of it as well, as that Hado just gets drawn into the hand of MiX. I mean, sure. I think Zeus must be pretty new to the game. Pretty rough to be fighting MiX game 1 for a new player, or maybe a player who's not 100% familiar with the kit. As we see Zeus actually now tracking his specials and ultras as well. Notably, this is one way to do it. I prefer the method of just tapping the card if 1 is down, and then flipping the card if 2 of them are down. Of course, it doesn't play well into Season 6, where characters have 4 copies of a card, or 3 copies of a card, but as soon as Season 6 came out, I or before Season 6 came out, I stopped doing that tracking method, so it doesn't matter too much for me, at least. Anyway, back to Zeus here. We definitely needs to string some combats together. Only not very much going for him right thus far. See, Polar initiating a strike at range 2. Speed 7 option here is Stomp. However, Stomp actually will do 0 damage because there's not an Ice Spike under Ken or 2 spaces away from Ken. So the fastest option here that we're looking at is Cross. If I foresee this to be a fast option, I don't think it's going to be a Cross. I think it's going to be an Assault at speed 5 from Polar. Other options that this could be, I mean, that's an Assault like, basically. Do I think it's a Shovel Slam? It could be a Shovel Slam. It could be a 7-power Shovel Slam in theory. We're actually going to see a Wild Swing Axe Kick from MiX. And it is the Shovel Slam, 7-power Shovel Slam from... Oh, wait, never mind. This was a critical Axe Kick from MiX. Never mind. It's a crit Axe Kick from Hand. I thought that was a Wild Swing. It sounded like it was a Wild Swing, but I think I misheard the sound of... I misheard the sound of Ken using the crit action while I was down here for this, for the picking up of a card from the deck. So yeah, this Axe Kick at speed 6 will deal 5 damage to the Shovel Slam, which of course will miss. The Shovel Slam was validated, I believe, with the Grasp. Wow, we actually called that weirdly correctly. But yeah, it just felt like it wasn't a cross, so the speed 6 defensive option from MiX was correct there, as MiX then boosts Assault, move retreating to range 5, forcing Polar to move in, lest he wish to get hit by another crit Hado. And yeah, it looks like we'll be spending the Cross Boost to do so. Yep, Cross Boost moving to range 3. Notably, Polar at the end of that last combat was unable to place an Ice Spike because he was stunned, so this after ability would not go off. Yep, and here's the Gurren boost in response from MiX, +2 power, +2 speed at range 3. This is extremely potent. A little bit of an Assault Dive Spike mix up, obviously, in play. So we're going to see the Rebuild come out. Okay, yeah. We're going to see the Rebuild action come out. So... I have no idea what's going on. Oh, he drew from the discard instead. Okay, so this time Rebuild was boosted. It looked like Zeus actually drew cards from the discards of the deck, but they got that fixed right away. And then the Rebuild was added to Gauge. Again, the second one was like a change cards action. So like, I mean, tough luck, I guess. Anyway, MiX just prepares in response. We're just gonna see a reading coming out here from Zeus, and it's gonna be a read block into the Spike. Successfully neutralized the boost there from MiX. MiX takes 5 damage from the Spike, of course. Ice Spike goes down at range 2, courtesy of the Polar Knight UA. And a little bit of a comeback here, although MiX is still in very dominating position, especially as the second True Master comes out. Notably, that was the second reading from Zeus since the first focus was parried by MiX. The question is, how is Polar Knight going to defuse this boost? Notably, against a lot of characters, you can move to range 1 and block. Unfortunately, against Ken has an ignore armor option, which at 7 power is super deadly. It would be a 1-7-8. That's a Shinryuken stat line for 1 gauge. So, going to be pretty hard to try to defuse the second axe kick, if that is an option that Ken is representing. So we see Defend get boosted from Polar Knight here, and MiX just kind of playing with his food here a little bit, boosting Fierce in response. I guess you can initiate this boost war, because there's basically nothing that will stop it. I mean, Polar, what's Polar going to do into this? Can't read anymore. Spikes the threat, can't, you can, in theory, initiate an assault, but then that's just going to get dove or assaulted in response. Plus 4 power as well, on top of the plus 2 speed. MiX just setting up basically an unbeatable strike here. Okay, Polar prepares. Back to MiX here. So MiX even has like an EX spike, potentially. MiX will prepare in kind, obviously. Very happy with his board position. Up 15 life as well. No need to commit something else. Oh, MiX has disconnected. He'll be right back, I'm assuming. Should I go check on them? They are in a room. I can just go check on them if need be. But I'm sure MiX will be right back. Should I go ahead and save the game state? No. I think my auto saves every 30 seconds, so I don't think I need to. I don't even know how to save. It's somewhere here. I think it's under games, but I don't want to click that button because that button's kind of scary to click. I'm sure MiX will be right back. Here he is. Oh, can't seat him yet. I know MiX has problems in the room. He needs to be seated like a child in my rooms. So yeah, there we go. Got him down. Put him down. Put the little baby down in its car seat, and we're back to go. We're ready to go. Now we're going to see the block and come out when you're hit after hit effects. Spend any amount of gauge for plus 2 armor per gauge spent. Gets text by MiX. So MiX doesn't have the EX spike yet. Notably, I believe both shovel charges are up. So there's an option to deal with 1 spike on offense for Polar Knight that's still up. I believe 1 assault has dropped for Polar Knight though. So EX assault is not up. So MiX saying, okay, we're gonna attack the block end. Blockade also kind of telegraphs that you don't have a block in hand. Notably because this one is per gauge, and then like you get the same amount of armor, you don't get additional armor compared to a regular block. So telegraphing that there's no block in hand, as we see an assault boost to range 7. Unfortunately, this just means that Ken will throw a Hado. Maybe this does telegraph that Polar Knight has the block. Ken at range 7, however, not close enough for the Hado. Will have to move into range 6 in order for a Hado to hit. This Hado would be like 1 billion power. It'd actually be 10 power when crit, 8 power when not. Sorry, I can't seem to get the right angle for this. I don't know the camera hotkeys. So the board's going to be slightly off kilter. I feel like it's off kilter in a lot of my commentaries, though, so you guys have gotten used to it. So we're actually just going to see the rushdown style, close 3 and strike. Critical attack here. I mean, it's probably Hado. Could be... Oh, actually can't be knee bash, but... Yep, it is the Hado. Does have... MiX does have the... Or excuse me, Zeus does have the second block, at the very least. Which is what that assault boost was telegraphing. Just saying, hey, I don't want to get spiked here. Let me go to a range where I can't get spiked and then block. MiX actually spending a decent amount of resources on that. This is, of course, going to be a 10 power Hado. That is an expenditure of 2 force so far, 3 force. Notably not spending this Ultra from Gauge, opting to spend cards from hand. Drops the EX Stomp and a Shovel Charge, and will take 1 damage, courtesy of the Defend boost. Not dropping the Icicle drop from Gauge was interesting. Choosing to spend all those cards in hand. Block, of course, does not have a range, so an Ice Spike cannot be placed. Ken also standing notably in the perfect spot here, with 2 Ice Spikes in front of him, 2 Ice Spikes behind him, which is pretty funny. Of course, for those of you that don't know what was boosted, it was, of course, the rushdown style. Don't think I zoomed in on that. Close 3, then strike. MiX almost out of speed boosts here. I believe he has 1 copy of Light left in his deck, and maybe 1 copy of Burning Passion. That's it. Of course, the Hado got looped. We'll actually take a look at this, because I don't think we looked at the text on that. You see the reshuffle action coming out from Polar Knight. And we're going to see critical Wild Swing from MiX. Which, of course, is the Hado, which we were taking a look at. Don't think I zoomed in on that for long enough, so you guys can take a look at the text if you are unfamiliar with Ken. Does Polar have a response to this Hado? Polar does have a response to the Hado. It's the Assault, so the Assault will duck in at speed 5. And will duck in the minimum range of the Hado, which is notably range 3. MiX did spend a gauge on that as well, going for the +2 power. Notably, this mediocre shape that we talked about, the 135 close 2, would also work in that case. So there's a little bit of a niche use there to duck the speed 4 fireballs. Anyway, that was MiX's initiation. It is back to Polar Knight, standing at range 2. However, Ken, while he's in a sea of ice spikes, is actually not underneath one himself. He's just standing in the perfect spot to avoid that. But Polar Knight has 4 combats of work to do, at least. MiX, I think, even has a block left, so it could be even 5 combats of work. So we're going to see an expenditure of 2 force. MiX, I think, explaining expenditure of 4 force. I think expenditure of 3 force now, okay. To CC3, drawing 4. Of course, Ultras count as 2 force. So we see the light boosted from MiX. This is the second to last speed boost in his deck. Only down to 7 cards, 4 in hand, 3 in deck. Both readings were in the discard before the reshuffle, but 4 cards have been drawn now, so MiX's hand is soon to be threatened by reading if it is drawn by Polar. That's one good way to diffuse the light boost as well, as was done with the spike earlier by Zeus. Nope, we'll just match the light boosts. +2/+2 on both sides. Back to MiX here. Let's see if we can think of his 7 cards. One is Shoryu. One is... Oh, wait, never mind. These cards are tracked. We see MiX initiate a strike at range 2. Shoryu is the fast threat at 9 speed here. Although it was not critical, so it's actually not Shoryu. Is this just a second copy of Cross from MiX here at speed 6? Notably, can lose the Stomp. Both copies of Stomp were lost in the discard before reshuffle. Stomp, however, is speed 7 and would do 2 power. As we see Zeus Assassin spawn more tokens. Okay, fine. Feels like Cross to me from MiX here. MiX is gone again. Hopefully it's not me. I think it's him, though, having a little bit of internet troubles. As Zeus Assassin takes this downtime to count discard piles, fixing his card counts as well. It's like that's the problem. Sometimes sometimes when you're doing this intense tracking, you just like forget for a couple minutes to do it, especially if you're not very used to it. And then you look at your count and it's all wrong anyway. Then you have to go through the discard pile again. It's a whole ordeal. I personally just gave it up just because I only play casuals, and I don't really think very much when I play casuals anymore. I'm sure MiX will be right back. But this is not the only set that we will be watching today. Later tonight, in about 4 hours, I don't know why I'm giving you the time like you're watching this live, but later tonight we will be having a second set of this same tournament. It will be Chica, who is another favorite in my opinion, to make it quite far, against Jungi. Jungi is a player we've actually never seen before. I might have seen him once or twice, as maybe MiX is back. Maybe I've seen him once or twice in casuals, but yeah, I don't. Of course, he was the TO for last year's 2 big tournaments, so as we see, the initiation isn't going to be the Cross versus the Stomp. 3, 2, 1. Nope, it's Cross against Cross, and MiX's Cross, of course, will win the speed tie. Polar will take 3 damage. MiX gets back to the corner. Down both Hados, I believe. Actually, no, not down both Hados. There's 1 Hado left on the deck. If we are to trust Zeus's card counting, which I think we should, seeing how we just saw him card count. Should be 3 damage there taken from Zeus. Yeah, MiX just pointing that out. Zeus should be at 4 HP. Yep. Okay. Polar finds himself at range 5. Almost assuredly has to move in with something, whether it be force or a boost or anything. Notably, Polar does have one of the largest movement boosts in the game on Shovel Slam and Dashing Through, advance or retreat up to 6, remove the first 2 ice spikes you move on to. Especially because these ice spikes aren't doing anything, so, I mean, multiple options, multiple ways to move in. Third, riskier way to close the distance would actually be performing a reading, like a read assault from MiX, who I believe has 1 assault left, and then try to smack him on his way in. That would be pretty risky though, because just the odds of that MiX having assault is in hand without including like any not extraneous, without including the outside info is 50%. 3 cards in deck, 3 cards in hand, so not very high. I wonder if I should, in the future, for future games, just look at discards just so I have a better idea of what's up and what's not. Because I feel like I'm having a little bit of a difficult time just relying on my memory alone, especially because I've been casting quite a bit of Exceed over the past month and a half, 2 months. So the games just do kind of all kind of mash together. So maybe I will be doing more of that in the future. Probably not for this game, but maybe tonight, maybe next time around. But yeah, like I said, like I was mentioning, but when MiX disconnected, we do have another set coming tonight between Chica and Jungi. Should be an interesting one, and we'll be casting for a little bit. So we'll be casting the first couple rounds as we see the second copy of Light come out from Polar Knight. At range 5, however, I mean, the only thing that really hits here, of course, is our Polar Plow at speed 4. EX Polar Plow does work at speed 5. We are going to see the strike come out immediately. I believe it was a critical strike as well as the cross down the discard. EX Polar Plow is not a threat. Polar Plow, one copy, was caught engaged before the reshuffle, so this crit Hado basically just wins. You can, with this Light, you can duck through with a speed 6 dive. A little bit of a waste of a Light boost that you might have needed to come back from this rather large life deficit, but can also cross to range 8 at speed 8. But let's see if this Hado can be... I mean, surely this Hado can be dodged, but just feels like a colossal waste of resources. Well, not colossal. Only 2 cards, but... depends on how it's dodged. That notably is too slow. And MiX has not stood on an Ice Spike all game, so that does not work either. Also too slow. Notably, Polar does have an extra copy of a block, emergency block and Snow Slash, so that is a thing that's Polar can do to survive. Spends 2 gauge, spends 2 force as well. Doesn't hit, but is a last ditch effort to defend against the Hado. But yeah, MiX just telling us what his last cards are. 3/3/1 Hado, Axe Kick, Shinryuken. Special count here looks correct. The normal count here does not. Should be 1 more block and 1 more sweep. Very obviously this is the Hado coming, as I'm trying to fill dead air while ZeusPegasus decides how to deal with this. Wild Swing, that can't be a good sign. Wild Swing, cross. Okay. Cross forces Polar back to range 8, and our misery continues. Ice Spike taken from range 2 to range 1. Notably, that Ice Spike could have just stayed there. I think MiX is pointing that out. Wild Swing does work out. Basically, Hado drops for a sweep. Ken at range 7, so this is going to be a long game. Well, not a long game, but a longer game as they try to fix this Ice Spike. They cannot get the proper angle. I believe Zeus has to pick it up, and then when he picks it up, then it'll be tilted the proper angle. But if we take out our protractors and look at this, we can very clearly see that this Ice Spike is at a more acute angle than this Ice Spike. So, oh yeah, of course. Polar is blessed with the dashing through boost. Advanced surgery up to 6. Remove the first 2 Ice Spikes you move on to. Notably, MiX's deck is not super great until he draws that Axe Kick. However, with a simple prepare action, Axe Kick is just... Axe Kick is basically guaranteed, right? Because if 1 card left on the Wild Swing here... 1 cross down for Polar as well, so Polar can't respond with EX Cross to try to pop the Axe Kick, but that is the threat here. Overpower coming out here from Polar. Is this going to be Overpower into second cross? Is the question that we must ask ourselves, because it's the only thing that stops critical Axe Kick. Will MiX go for the critical Axe Kick? Looks like he is. Critical Wild Swing Axe Kick will beat the Snow Slash. Snow Slash, of course, relies on armor, but Axe Kick will ignore the armor. Ken taking game 1 in very, very convincing fashion. At no point did I think MiX was going to lose this game. Like I said, Zeus may be a little bit of a new player. Unfamiliar with the kits. There's the X spike as well for kicks. Yeah, just a couple unfortunate unforced errors there from Zeus. Then unable to deal with the boost suite of Ken as well, and the just kind of power that Ken stacks on. Didn't have anything going for him with the ice spikes either. Like, not a single attack with an ice spike was landed, so yeah, pretty rough stuff. Hopefully Zeus can pick it up in game 2, make this more of a competitive match, but MiX taking game 1. This, of course, is a best of 3 match, not like the best of 5 matches that we were casting earlier. Ken goes in the trash. Zeus not forced to stay on the Polar if he doesn't want to. So Ken repick. This is going to be a blind pick for game 2. MiX's roster has Plague Knight, Hakumen, and Carmine. Zeus's roster has, of course, Polar, Zangief, Jin, and Aurier. Of course, I would be so hyped to see a turn 1 Veil off Aurier. I don't feel like it's happening, but for some reason, Zeus can't seem to pick up the bags. Oh! The first step to the Aurier is here. The first step to the Veil off Aurier, excuse me, which is the correct way to play Aurier. Anyone who tells you differently is a... Oh man, I was about to call them liars. They're not liars, but they don't know. They're not knowers. I, of course, am a huge fan of the turn 1 Veil off Aurier line. I will continue to preach it and scream it from the skies. Luckily, Chica, my nemesis, has not brought Aurier to the tournament, so I won't be angry seeing his Aurier, because he goes for the front side Wild Swing Aurier with the +2 armor. And MiX bringing out the Plague Knight, one of his old mains. So Plague Knight, a character that looks like they would be based on randomness. I mean, of course, the UA says at random, but you can manipulate your cards in such a way, especially given your Ultra Boosts, which allow you to just dump cards from hand. You can manipulate your boosts into your hand in such a way that this is actually not going to be an after, as it looks like Zeus Assassin has chosen to go second. That's a choice. Not a particularly common choice, especially with the fact that you can just prepare on turn 1 and then have more cards than player 1. So, and we discussed this yesterday. I mean, you should go first. Sorry, I'm just responding to some DMs here. Looks like in the time, MiX mulligan some cards, Ori mulligan some cards. But yeah, mix up, not mix going. Or sorry, not mix up like the Season 6 boost. Ha ha ha. We see the Frederick Research, draw 2 cards, then strike. Notably, Plague Knight has a ranged option in the long pitch, 3-5, 3-5. Alongside the dive. Aurier does have a ranged option in response, this succession. Pretty pretty bad card, but does pull Aurier's opponent to a range where Aurier is more familiar, or not familiar, more comfortable. Excuse me. But this Staff of Surging, Plague Knight has great ways to spend cards and great ways to draw cards. And here's an example of a card. This card literally draws 6 between its attack and its boost, and it's not even an ultra; it's a special. Absolutely insane. Anyway, we're expecting a long pitch or a dive here from MiX, and it's an after draw too as well. It's not even a hit effect. Aurier, without any gauge, with gauge, can respond with Luminous Embrace. Without gauge, can respond with its Succession. Can dodge with a Divine Thrust. Can dodge the Fireball with a Sacred Arrow. So Aurier's kit is a bunch of dodges that work in specific scenarios, and Succession, which is just a bad card. But Succession could work here in trade. We are going to see the dive here. Zeus trying to hard call out the long pitch does not pan out for him. It's just going to be the range 4 dive, which will outspeed Sacred Arrow, of course. Aurier will take 5 damage. Unfortunate start there for Aurier for sure. Taking a really big gamble. Like, this is such a good card, and just seeing it gambled away like this makes me a little sad for sure. Anyway, MiX draws 2 cards off the after effect on Frantic Research. It is now back to Aurier, and let's see if Zeus believes in the Veil offline. Although losing his Succession, or losing his Sacred Arrow, excuse me, is kind of sad because that is a 5er. You really want to be filling your gauge with 5ers and 6ers if you're going to be playing backside Aurier. But losing a 5er that early, and one of the easier 5ers to hit too because it's the auto dodge, is quite sad, especially into a character like Plague Knight. As we see the 5th Executor come out. Now strike, hit, your total power becomes 5. Add this to gauge. So this allows Aurier to put a 7 into gauge for backside Aurier. However, sorry, I just had to mute there for a second and lost my train of thought as well. But yeah, your total power becomes 5. I mean, Aurier's cards are pretty low power anyway. If it's not one of these, then it's definitely Grasp. We basically have a Grasp, Sealing, Hoplon mix-up in my opinion. To me, Command Order also acceptable here. That MiX has to call out. Let's see, MiX down. Okay, MiX going for the sweep, hard reading the Grasp here. Or I guess the to me Command Order. It's actually going to be the Divine Thrust. So it's going to be a 5-power Divine Thrust. Aurier will now dodge the sweep, moving to range 4. Taking basically the other side of the board. Yep, just another classic Aurier shape. Low damage, but high utility for a specific scenario. And this Divine Thrust works well. Wonders for that. A little bit under curve there, of course. 5th Executor should go to gauge. Yep. And now we have a 7 engaged for backside Aurier. Although I'm not sure Zeus knows about backside Aurier because he wasn't super ecstatic when that 5th Executor didn't hit the gauge. So we see a Fierce Boost coming out from Plague Knight, telegraphing that long pitch, which would now be 7 power at the cost of 2 force. That's the threat here. Another downside of dropping the Sacred Arrow is that one of Plague Knight's really good boosts is Serum's Paraness, plus 2 power, plus 2 speed, plus 2 armor, now strike. However, Season 6 has these, we call them reverse DPs, some people also call them speed dodges, but attacks with speed X or greater do not hit you directly counter speed boosts. In certain kits, they're available maybe 4 Season 6 kits. 4 Season 6 kits, and these cards are so powerful. They prevent boost stacking, they prevent checkmates with speed, and seeing one of these drop so early in such a situation is quite sad, really. And definitely for Aurier, even though Aurier does have the power to trade with her stun immune cards. I mean, it's just not, it's a little baby damage, you know. It doesn't even matter. As Ori prepares, back to MiX here. MiX initiating strike at range 4 with +2 power. This is almost assuredly the long pitch that we were talking about earlier, which is a 7 power at 5 speed. Notably, can be traded with the succession, of course. Can also be second dive, in theory. Anyway, how will Ori deal with this? No 3 gauge for the Luminous Embrace, of course. Divine Thrust was an answer. However, the first one was used. Divine Thrust notably speed 6, similar to Cross Up, would dodge the Fireball. Move to melee range as well. And let's see what the answer is here. The answer is just focus to mitigate just a little bit of damage. Okay. Unfortunately, that means we'll see no Veil Off. Very sad. We're going to see MiX spend a Force to validate the long pitch, and then spend the dive from Gauge to add +2 power to it. Notably, only does 5 damage because of the 2 armor focus, and then Ori replaces her card. Health totals are good. Ori still finds herself a little bit further away, however, Ori's Boost kit is loaded with these now Advance or Retreat 1s, so we don't have to worry about that. And then if now Advance or Retreat 1 wasn't enough, we have an Advance 4 as well. So literally all of Ori's stuff advances her. All of Ori's special boosts advance her, so range is not a problem for her. And yep, here comes the tactical Season 6's favorite boost, +1 speed, now Advance or Retreat 1. Moving to range 3 here. Notably, that's the second copy of Sacred Arrow drop down, so now Serum Supernus is free. It's free for later. That's the problem with Sacred Arrows. If you drop them both early, or if you don't draw them at all, suddenly your kit looks a lot worse against plus speed, as MiX will prepare. Back to Ori here, initiating a strike with +2 armor. Of course, the armor only applies to her specials and ultras, which have very low damage. We're going to see MiX respond with the Giant Bomb, and it's going to be the dive. So speed 5 dive on curve. My favorite set play in Season 6, as I like to joke. +1 speed dive. We'll dive over the Giant Bomb, which is basically just a giant sweep. And we'll deal 5 damage to Plague Knight. Plague Knight, of course, not stunned, so can choose to advance or retreat. We'll retreat to range 2, where Plague Knight has a speed 7 option for some reason in the form of Perfect Pitch, 2/3/7. Hit, draw a card, then the opponent must discard a card at random. Sounds like we've heard MiX just prepare, and yeah, that's exactly what's happened. Back to Ori here at range 2. Has a 7 and a 5 in the gauge. Flip side looking extremely juicy. Let's see if ZeusPegasus goes for it. Instead goes for the Luminous Embrace, trying to get that second 7 into gauge. Nobly, the Perfect Pitch is a big threat here. Giant Bomb, however, says, no, I don't respect your Perfect Pitch at all. I'm going to go for the speed 6 cross, hit you for 3 damage, get the second Luminous Embrace into gauge. We're going to see an Exceed side Ori soon enough. This is beautiful setup. As we're going to see the Berserker Spear come out. +3, spend up to 3 Force, then Strike. EX attack coming out for MiX, using the Plague Knight ability to spend 1 Force to add +2 power. This is going to be a +5 power EX attack from MiX. Alright. MiX says, okay, I'm done. This is probably EX chain reaction, if I had to guess. Ori responding with an EX of her own. EX Assault into... Oh, no. Oh, no. It's all gone wrong for Ori. Ori drops her last 2 cards on an EX Assault against the EX chain reaction. And that is going to be a 10 power EX chain reaction. Nine damage after armor, of course. Ori will drop the 7s and the cross from gauge to CC. That was a CC 5, so should be drawing 6. Okay, now it's CC 6, drawing 7. MiX, of course, draws 4 cards off the after ability of Chain Reaction, which we called an Ori The gauge was looking so good. The situation was looking so good. But not meant to be. Not meant to be. So we see Aurier boost wide and advance. So this is a plus 0 to 1 range on the ceiling Hoplon. Clearly Zeus is not a fan of backside Aurier here. And then just kind of ran out of fuel towards the end. A little bit over aggressive. We see the tech hit come out. Tech hit, of course, discard continuous boost from play, then strike, discarding the light that MiX had just put in play, and now striking. Fast option here would be your grasp, of course, at speed 7. And it's the grasp. Just going to get blocked here by MiX. 3-power grasp incoming. Aurier can push Plague Knight to the corner if she so desires. Probably wants to be closer than farther. And then MiX may spend a force if he chooses. Can actually spend infinite force. Okay, Aurier will pull Plague Knight, but won't pull him across. This is going to be telegraphing the Divine Thrust, kind of. Which is pretty big telegraph, because obviously when Aurier keeps herself towards the corner, that's what you're looking out for, right? MiX boosting defend at range 1 here in response to that. Back to Aurier here, who's down a little bit in life, but actually has a similar amount of resources. No backside Aurier is going to make me incredibly sad, however. We're going to see the succession boosted in the form of defensive, and now we're going to see Aurier take alongside of the board, so not really sure what the reasoning behind that. Behind not taking alongside the board with the grasp, but now taking it with succession. So we see the second copy of Frantic Research boosted by MiX. Draw 2 cards, then strike. After draw 2 cards, throwing down an EX as well, and then taking it back. Aurier responds with a card before MiX even sets one now. Perhaps telegraphing a little too much information there from Zeus. This is weird. And it looks like Plague going to be using the Plague UA. Actually a random choice this time. And it's going to be a hit plus 2 power tacked onto this EX. So we have a hit plus 2 power, plus 1 armor, and plus 3 guard EX attack coming out for MiX. Candidates would be like EX Assault at speed 6, question mark. EX something. It is the EX Assault. It is the Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace has 7 armor against the 7 power of EX Assault. So this Rest in Peace will deal perfectly and will hit MiX back for 7. 6 after armor, of course. And of course, this succession, this defensive actually mattering. That 7th armor actually mattering super hard. MiX just forgetting that Rest in Peace was a thing, I guess. I don't know. Heavily telegraphing that EX Assault, as we called out. Anyway, MiX does get advantage off the Assault, of course, and then chooses to prepare. Back to Aurier here, who has a bit of a life lead. 1 Rest in Peace down. 2nd Rest in Peace left in the deck. However, only 1 gauge, so that's not an option at this moment in time. That's 1 armor of defensive actually mattering super hard there. You don't really see that quite often. At least I haven't seen it quite often, that 1 armor actually mattering. But in this case, it did matter against the 7 power assault, EX Assault that MiX attempted to throw out there. As now we see Zeus trying to track cards. We see 6 cards in hand, only 2 cards left in deck for MiX. A little bit vulnerable to reading at this point in time. Actually, more than a little bit vulnerable, super vulnerable here. Ori could grab a quick lead here with a cheeky reading. 11 cards left in Aurier's deck. Down, I want to say no dives. I believe both dives are left in Aurier's deck somewhere. On top of that, so MiX could be in a little bit of trouble here against Zeus Aurier. And I have to say, Zeus looking a lot better in this matchup than the last one. Obviously, life total wise, you can tell why, but Zeus definitely looking more comfortable on this matchup than the last one. So we're going to see Aurier reshuffle here. Interestingly enough. That's not the choice I thought Aurier was going to go for. I thought Aurier would try to fish for a reading. But no, Aurier goes for the reshuffle there. Happy with the 15 or so cards that she drew. And says, okay, it's time to get those options back in the deck. Like the reverse DPs. I think there was a couple Divine Thrusts in there as well. A couple Luminous Embraces. Back to MiX here. Who has, like I said, still super threatened by reading here at this point. Big hand as well. Out of most of the range 1 options, unless of course you boost Serap's Preparedness. 1, 2, 3, 4. +2 power, +2 speed, +2 armor. Now strike, and MiX will be dropping the dive on it. So before advance 3, if you move past the opponent, their attacks do not hit you. Well, that's a fun one. What's left in MiX's deck? Like, I don't even know what this is. Is this a spike? I think this is a spike that MiX is throwing here at 5 speed with 6 defenses on it. Would anything work against this? Yeah, Grasp would. If Aurier grasps and puts Plague Knight here, Plague Knight will advance 1, 2, 3 and miss. So we're looking for Grasp. Another card that actually works here is Aurier's Divine Thrust. 1 to 2, 3, 6 after advance 4. Aurier takes corner, and then Plague Knight has to advance, and then will miss. Reverse DP also works because attacks at speed 5 or greater do not hit you. Good number of options here actually work. I think those are its though. Yeah, I think those are its to deal with this spike. Normally only 3 possible cards that MiX could be representing. So if it's not Spike, this is heavily telegraphed anyway. Let's see if Aurier can suss out the answer though here, because there are answers in the hand and or deck for Aurier. So this is not a 100% guaranteed mix-up for Plague Knight at all. And Plague Knight investing a lot into this. Like, Plague Knight has no cards in hand left. If Aurier is able to hit, this is looking really good for Aurier, honestly. If Aurier is able to hit. With MiX choosing to spend all of his resources, put all of his eggs into this basket. Without the chain reactions either. So down both chain reactions and down both frantic researches, which are basically Plague's way of refilling hand. Does have 2 gauge at the very least, but not much else left in the tank for Plague Knight. Can Zeus find the answer to this spike? We're assuming it's a spike. I mean, I don't really know what else it could be. I feel like it can be nothing else. Could it be a dive? It could be a dive, I guess. Aurier going for the wild swing here. Like I said, a bunch of outs here for Aurier. Like 23 cards in deck, but a bunch of outs. That unfortunately is kind of one of them. No, it's not, because MiX teched on the dive, of course. That is going to be a 7 power spike from MiX. Aurier not having the answer in hand, unfortunately. 2 cards left in the deck for MiX here. Aurier does have a little bit of room to maneuver, depending on what those last 2 cards are. Is one of them sweep? I don't know. I'm just going to take a look. I'm bored of guessing. I'm just going to take a look. Cross. Well crafted, sir. Well crafted. That's all I have to say. MiX telling us that his last 2 cards are cross. That's well crafted, of course, a little bit of a meme. Don't mind that. As we see Aurier boost wide, plus 0 to 1 range. Now advance or retreat 1. MiX now drawing EX cross. Can get red, but it's like but then what, right? Then MiX changes cards 3. Aurier initiates a strike here into the EX cross with armor. So I mean, this is what, like a grasp? Yeah, it is the grasp. MiX just says, okay, I'll take the armor, take 2 damage. Brings Plague Knight closer. Plague Knight will prepare in turn. Close game. Wait, Aurier certainly didn't have that grasp on the spike turn, right? I hope not. Because that... Oh, no, I think Aurier drew the grasp off the Y because it's the rightmost card played and Zeus is not shuffling his hand. Remember to shuffle your hand every turn, folks, in tournament. Just shuffle your hand all the time. Just always shuffle your hand. You don't want to be giving away needless information like... I mean, obviously that's relatively harmless, but you don't want to be giving needless information away. Always shuffle your hand as MiX prepares, reshuffling his deck. Back to Aurier here. 4 life to MiX's 8 as the counters come off. And the counters come back on. 0, 3, 5, the only cards that did not get caught in the reshuffle for Plague Knight. Can Aurier eke this out? On frontside Aurier, it's gonna take several combats. Backside Aurier, I mean the gauge sucks here anyway, so who cares? But frontside Aurier can yoink. Aurier in general, sorry, not frontside or backside. Aurier in general can yoink advantage with some cards here, right? These are the cards we're looking at. 2-me command order, Sealing Hoplon. To yoink advantage. Rather risky cards to play at only 4 HP though, but paired with the UA, significantly less risky. Because there's a huge difference between 6 life and 4 life. Although MiX does have sweeps, and obviously Giant Bomb is basically just another sweep. Anyway, it is Aurier's turn. Zeus just deciding what he needs to do here. Zeus playing Mix Up. We'll retreat 1, and then we'll draw a card after setting the strike. And it's going to be the... It is going to be the 2-me command order, which will just barely beat the Focus. Just barely, of course. Because Focus has 2 armor, and to me, Command Order does 3 damage. But we'll retreat 1 to dodge the focus, so we'll not get hit back, and we'll take advantage, so we'll go again. MiX while swinging the focus, so he gets a 3rd card in his arsenal to work with. Aurier spending 2 force, spending 3 force. To CC3, drawing 4. Notably, this means that Rest in Peace is no longer an option for Aurier at this point in time, so I'm really not a big fan of that. I think that's a card you basically always want to be threatening here. And I see no reason why you should be drawing an extra card to not threaten that at this immediate point in time. So, a little bit unhappy with that decision from Zeus, but his Aurier is looking pretty decent here so far, as we see MiX prepare again. Back to Aurier here. So to get range 3, not the best Aurier range. Aurier does want to be a little bit closer than that. If we just take a look at some of these shapes that she has. Notably, it does dodge the perfect pitch shape and the Staff of Surging that Plague Knight has. So Plague Knight does have a range 3 on curve option in the chain reaction, which we saw earlier, to massive effect. I just have the Giant Bomb, sweep shape of course, and the Long Pitch, which is a fast fireball that hits at 3 and does 5 damage total. To Aurier's 4 life, of course, Aurier, if she chooses to initiate, will get +1, +2 armor, but we see the Superior come out from Aurier. First time we've seen this boost all set, so we'll just take a zoom in on it real quick. Your next tech is considered to be EX. So +1 power, +1 speed, +1 armor, +1 guard. Notably, you can't double EX in this game. We are going to see the EX come out from MiX. So, not Assault or Spike at least. So, we do know that block is safe. We do know that. However, knowing MiX, I believe this to be Chain Reaction or Long Pitch at speed 6. So, let's see if Aurier can handle that. Notably, that card will dodge it, but won't hit either of those options. So Aurier will have to find something better, or hopefully Aurier has something better. I mean, if she doesn't, then you go for that every single time. But there's a world where this could be Giant Bomb. I don't think we're in that world, but there is a world where this could be like a Giant Bomb sweep as well. I don't know if I claim this on camera, but I feel like a lot of people don't play enough range 3 sweep. I'm just gonna put it out there as a feeler. Feel free to clip it and ship it, as the kids say. But not enough people play range 3 sweep. So this could be range 3 sweep. It's probably not, but it could be. Anyway, Aurier with a pretty difficult decision to make here at only 4 HP. We do know block is safe, so I mean, if Aurier doesn't want to die, it's not. I mean, it's not tournament life on the point, but on the line here. But I mean, block will do fine here. All right, 1, 2, 3, flip. It is the Long Pitch. It is the block. Okay, Zeus survives. This is going to be a 4 power Long Pitch. Let's see if MiX bumps it up to 6. He will, discarding the perfect pitch to do so. It's going to be a 6 power Long Pitch here against the EX block played by Aurier. Aurier should spend 2 force here, not take any damage. I think there's a difference between 3 power and 4 power here if you are Aurier, so please discard 2 force. You have so many cards in hand. You have this gauge just kind of sitting there, although this gauge will now be useful because, of course, we're going to have Rest in Peace now in play. This Powerhouse Ultra does a lot for you. Please don't spend. Or he spends the gauge. Sorry, that was a little bit dramatic there for me. I do apologize. Or he spends the gauge and a sweep from hand to take no damage from the EX Long Pitch. Back to Aurier here at range 3. Again, not threatening that Rest in Peace, which is just so sad. Makes it only 2 cards at hand though. So again, Aurier can win this. Like, this is not a losing. This is not a super losing position, in my opinion. Just yet. Just yet. Especially when Aurier attacks on +2 armor on her strike. Although I do feel like Aurier will be needing to strike here. Again, just a little bit awkwardly too far for a lot of things. If you're Ori at range 3, you can remedy that with a mix-up. The problem with mix-up is that you do not get to use your UA on top of it, and the +2 armor could matter here. But mix-up could remedy her solution, her problem of being a little bit too far. Could be a solution for that. Can also just, I mean, boost something, I guess. Boost aerial leap as well. Aerial leap basically would work here as a scuffed mix-up. Really taking its time here. This could be close to the, I mean, it's almost assuredly close to the end. So it's good to take your time, obviously. Chimera Summer Bash, not a timer-enforced tournament, like the first Junkies Shapes, which was like timer optional. We see the Just Defense come out, +3 armor, now Strike. A MiX is just going to say, get me out of there, crosses out. Now we're at range 3, except we're at the corner. MiX prepping in response. Aurier will have to find another potential answer to her problems. Just Defense, of course, we'll take a look at this boost, because we haven't seen it before. +3 armor, now Strike after lose all armor. We're going to see Aurier boost the aggressive, +1 power, now advance retreat 1. MiX preparing back in response. Back to Aurier here. Can, in theory, threaten lethal. Really want to be looking at that second gauge, so that way, actually, no, rest in peace to 7 damage anyway. Mix-up coming in from Aurier, moving to range 1 and then striking. Let's see if MiX goes slow here. Slow options would kill Aurier pretty reliably here. Notably, Aurier does have a range 1 spike in the ceiling hoplon. I don't know what they are discussing here. Aurier taking the spike back. Notably, this is awful because now MiX can read the spike. What kind of tomfoolery is happening here? Aurier did not want to go to range 1. Aurier will instead change cards 2, drawing 3. Okay. MiX will prepare again in response. This is now prep number 3 in a row, I believe, for MiX. Getting back to that full hand that we know and love to see him have. Back to Aurier here. Well, that's alright. I think, Zeus accidentally hit the deal button, very conveniently located right next to the search button. Dealt a card from the discard to both players' hands, but easily remedied there. Not a huge deal. Plague Knight doesn't care about discard order anyway, so not a big deal there either. Not a whole lot of options down for MiX, and MiX can have basically anything. Just because the way he reshuffled, he reshuffled with everything except 035. So MiX can actually just have anything in his hand. Apparently it mixed down both spikes, though. That could be useful information for later. Second block looks good. Rest in Peace would look good if it was up. Pwned by Plywood is here. Why is Pwned by Plywood here? Welcome Pwned by Plywood to the room. I guess I didn't close it. I mean, they are, I guess, here to watch the thrilling conclusion of Aurier v Plague Knight. They are not here on commentary with me. And like we claimed before, Aurier can, in theory, threaten lethal here. It's just that the lethal options are extremely unsafe. So we see a reading come out here from Aurier. Reading, however, misses. That's going to be tough. We see a hand of Castle Crasher, triple dose, Spike, Grasp, Block, Staff of Searching. What an awful hand. Yeah, MiX just have to mess us to block. What? Wow. Not the best looking hand there. And it's going to be a 5-power assault coming out here from Aurier. MiX probably drops a Castle Crasher, take no damage. If I had to guess, because there's more than enough force here available that 2 copies of Castle Crasher is a little superfluous. Might need to drop the normals if second reading's online. But, I mean, you also don't die from reading, but okay, MiX will drop the Spike. Spike's the worst one, be red for sure. No, MiX drops the Castle Crasher. No, okay, drops the Castle Crasher. Okay, yep, drops the Castle Crasher to take no damage. Builds up his 4th gauge. Not that that really matters. Aurier will take advantage here. Hand, of course, is known of Grasp, Staff of Searching, triple dose, Castle Crasher, Spike. Has range 1 mix up in theory with Grasp, Staff of Surging, triple dose. It's a not a mix up you see super often. I'll say that much. Aurier will probably not die if she chooses to initiate again with +2 armor. Unless, of course, MiX Wild Swings like a giant bomb or something. Anyway, Zeus just taking a look at that hand again. MiX is off in nowhere land. Has come back. Zeus initiates a strike with +2 armor. Okay. Confident into the hand of Grasp and Staff of Surging. I don't know what this is. Could this be the reverse CP shape, perhaps? Could this be Sacred Arrow? MiX responds with a triple dose, believing it's a Sacred Arrow, and he calls it correctly. Triple dose will take 5 damage and hit back for lethal. That is game. Game 2 going to MiX. Zeus just taking a little bit of a bet there that MiX would not go for the slow there, but MiX calls out. Oh wait, MiX is. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Ori is not dead. Ori's not dead. Sorry, this game continues. Game continues. Sorry. Game continues. I really wish Zeus would ping his +2 armor. Game continues. In what world is this grasp not lethal? Is the next question. Ori has 2 cards left in her hand. Only 1 HP, so even focus doesn't work. Just need a block. Or the second rest in peace. 1 and 2, 106. This game's not over. This game's not over by a long shot. Did MiX draw 3 of triple this? And it just looks weird, right? Because he's only drawn 2 cards on our screen. I see 2 cards there. There you go. There she is. That's 3 cards. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a. Man, I should get better at that. Identifying. You know what? It's more hype. It's more like fake hype for you guys that Ori didn't die off that Sacred Era. I just wish Zeus. I mean, because they're in voice chat, right? I was talking to them earlier, and they're in voice chat. I just wish Zeus would like ping the fact that he's using his UA, so that way we as the people don't forget. As we see MiX boost +2 power here. Ori immediately strikes. Oh no. Mix Up City. Is this Rest in Peace? Is this something else? Is this Grasp? Is this Mix Up City? Plague Knight's down both blocks as well. Oh no. What has Ori drawn? MiX plays Focus. It's the Rest in Peace. Ori steals game 2. Oh. We're going to game 3, folks. Zeus Assassin taking game 2 from Plague Knight here. And we are going to game 3. The second Rest in Peace that we called for a lot earlier came a lot later, but came at the perfect time for Aurier to take game 2 away from Plague Knight. And yeah, Aurier, the kit of 1,000,000 silver bullets, finds the one that she needs to steal game 2 away from Plague Knight. Wow. Nobody. Just want to point out that the Rest in Peace was not infallible. It was not some. That's what looks like. MiX is just gonna stick with the Plague Knight. Zeus going for the Jin for game 3. And just want to point out the Rest in Peace was not infallible, right? So Rest in Peace. Do we have a copy of that Ultra? Here, we have it right before it drops in the trash. Oh, it dropped in the trash right there. But only does 1 power, right? If you're not hit, MiX could have in theory swung with a spike and not gotten hit. I mean, what lunatic would do that in that scenario, right? But it's an option that you take more than 0% of the time, which is like super weird. But Aurier initiates with the Rest in Peace. Notably, that Rest in Peace had 8 armor as well, so the Fierce that MiX put in play wouldn't have come into play unless MiX played like EX Sweep or EX Giant Bomb. That would crack the 8 armor of Rest in Peace and would have dealt lethal there for Zeus. But Zeus, I gotta say, Zeus looked really weak in game one. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So Zeus looked incredibly. He looked rusty or something in game one. But the Aurier gameplay. The Aurier gameplay was there, and like we said, we can take a look at the kit of Aurier. We can say, okay, there's a solution for every question in the manual, in the Exceed manual. Aurier has an answer to it in her kit, but Zeus just able to draw that second rest in peace and take the game away. So we see Light come out from Plague Knight, immediately teched by Jin. We'll take a look at Jin's UA here. When you set your attack, you may spend 1 gauge to gain after draw 2. If you're looking for Jin gameplay, look no further than Migo's channel. Migo has a guide on Jin as well, so I'm not going to go into the whole deal. We can take a quick look at Jin's kit here. We have a DP, we have a Speed 5 Dive, we have a Mid Speed, we have a Slow Fireball, we have a card that never wins super hard, but never loses super hard either. Super reliable. We have a 6-speed Ultra gain advantage. We have preemptive on it as well. And then we have a long range move here that allows you to choose your range afterward. There's Jin's kit. Just a lot of highs and lows in that first game, huh? Or in that second game. A lot of lows in the first game, a lot of highs and lows in the second game. As MiX prepares, drawing to 7. Back to Jin here. Jin will boost Run, moving to range 2. A lot of Jin stuff works at range 2. Jin has a DP at range 2, although Plague also has a range 2 speed 7 option as well. So watch out for that in the near future, perhaps. MiX took like 17 damage or something from Rest in Peace that game. Actually, no, he only took like 14 damage. I mean, he only took 14 damage. That's half his life bar. Anyway, Plague Knight, initiating strike at range 2. We're looking at the speed 7 option here. Perfect pitch for the fast one. Could be a mix-up here as well. If we're going fast-slow here. Don't think it's going to be a mix-up, though. Think it's going to be... Oh! MiX getting cheeky. MiX getting cheeky with the spike. Beats the dual ice strike. Breaks the speed tie. MiX dealing 5 damage there. And wow... That is cheeky. MiX adding some mix-ups to his arsenal. We always look to MiX, and we look at him as a nice, safe player, right? But initiating a spike at range 2 baits out the slow response from Jin, the dual ice strike. A little bit of a mid-set adjustment there from MiX. And I gotta say, the other times I saw MiX get cheeky were against Calavantis, and those did not go well for MiX. But works out here thus far. So we see Permafrost boosted from Jin, plus 4 guard, now draw 2. Very similar to Ken's custom combo boost, as MiX boosts Fierce in response, now telegraphing that perfect pitch at speed 7, range 2. Back to Jin here. Jin will match the Fierce, plus 2 power on both sides, and MiX tops it off with some speed. Plus 2 power, plus 2 speed on MiX's side, plus 2 power, plus 4 guard on Jin's side. Let's see if Jin matches the speed now. This would be a time. Jin here taking a good amount of time. Zeus, rather. Taking a long amount of time on this strike here. This is going to be pretty impactful. Pretty good amount of investment here from both sides thus far. Maybe Jin invests even further. Jin invests in Ignore Armor, now Strike, into a Plague Knight who has +2 speed on him. So, what could this be? I have no idea what this is. Surely Jin's not swinging with DP. MiX Wild Swings. It is the Ice Blade. MiX Wild Swing Staff of Surging, which is going to miss. And Jin doing 6 damage on that strike with the range 2 Ice Blade. Haven't seen one of those before. Crystal Strike will go to Gage as well. Jin will close up to 2, then draw 1. Jin chooses to close 1 or 2, and then draws 1. Crystal Strike will go to Gage as well. Jin now building 2 Gage. MiX with the Wild Swing there. A little bit shocking, actually, that MiX went for the Wild Swing. So we see the Berserker's Brew with a +3 power force now strike, and then discarding the Chain Reaction, of course. Yep, there it is. So with the Plague UA, of course, we'll add the after trigger of Chain Reaction to this. So it's going to be a +3 power now strike. So MiX going for the 6 power Grasp or the 9 power Sweep is the question that we must ask ourselves here. It is the 7 power Focus, which will draw 5 cards. Since you can choose to order your afters. Jin will drop an Ultra in the form of the Ice Fang and will take 1 damage, building his 3rd Gage. Back to Jin here at range 1. Range 1 a little bit close for a lot of Jin's stuff. I feel like Jin definitely prefers range 2. Range 2 also introduces the threat of Moonsong, but Moonsong's not really that much of a threat into a character which has a speed 7 move. At range 2, Moonsong will be much more threatening at range 3, where Plague Knight doesn't really have any speed 6 move to try to counter it. As we see Zeus tracking the normals here, we see that MiX is down an early EX sweep. Is he down EX? Is he down? Is that 2? He's down EX spike as well. Interesting. Anyway, what an upset this would be if Zeus takes this set over MiX. And right now, both players are looking pretty even. If I had to look at the board state here, I mean, it's still early days for Game 3, but what an upset this would be if Zeus was able to take it over MiX. So I'm not gonna lie, I had written off the set a little bit after Game 1, but with a close Game 2, can come a swing in momentum in Zeus's favor for Game 3. So it's something that we want to watch out for. And definitely MiX wants to watch out for as well. So we see a reading come out here with an after draw 2 on it as well. Reading whiffs, however. See a hand of Grasp, EX Cross, Long Pitch, and Perfect Pitch. Surely EX Cross will beat basically everything except the Grasp. Oh no! Wait. It's an Assault. The Assault will beat... Oh, okay. That is a spicy after draw 2 there. Tacking on an after draw 2 on MiX's... on on not mixes, on a range 1 speed 5 assault with Mix having EX cross grasp long pitch perfect pitch in hand. What was red? I'm assuming Spike was red. Or Dive was red maybe? No, if Dive was red then you I guess Dive was red and Mix was trying to play Mix was thinking that this would be grasp, but it was a very cheeky assault from Jin. Jin yoinks advantage, draws 2 cards, takes another turn. And this hand, EX cross grasp long pitch perfect pitch, not the best looking hand, honestly. Especially when you're on short side of board. We see the Fierce come out here from Mix. The draw 2. If Jin draws a strike, Jin draws a grasp here. Jin just smashes grasp, right? Like what's stopping Jin from mashing grasp? Another mash would be if you draw preemptive and then like your other assault. That seems like a pretty good card to mash here as well. Of course, Mix does have one unknown card that he just drew off the top from the grasp, from the Fierce boost, excuse me. So we see the tech come out from Jin, implying that Jin maybe wants to trade a little bit this strike instead of winning cleanly. Mix, of course, will prepare in turn, building a little bit of a larger set of resources. Lights coming out from Jin. +2 speed. Range 1, though, where speed, quote-unquote, doesn't matter, but of course speed does matter a little bit. That EX Cross is not looking so good into a light boosted Jin, however, but looks like we are going to see a strike come out. Mick shuffles his hand, of course. Probably going slow here. Notably can't get popped by Permafrost because has 7 cards in hand to Jin 6. But what is this, Giant Bomb? Notably Mix down a sweep, or down 2 sweeps and 1 focus already. That's important to note for later. It's only 1 Giant Bomb left in his deck for slow options. It is the Giant Bomb, it is the Cross. Jin will take 3, or Plague Knight will take 3. Jin moves back to range 4. And Plague Knight says, I'll move back to range 5. Where, of course, long pitch is our threat here. And, yeah, I mean, a little bit far away. Long pitch can get traded with the Ice Blade, in theory. Or the Ice Fang, even. Which would be pretty funny. Cross obviously just a super safe option there at range 8. We're gonna be contesting the long pitch here as Jin by boosting light at range 5. Wow, that's spicy. Of course, Ice Fang is now a speed 6 option, which would directly counter long pitch at speed 5. That is the threat that we're looking at. Ice Blade would speed tie long pitch. But that's pretty spicy. Don't we did see Polar, Zeus's Polar, do like a weird speed boost at range 5, but there's an actual credible threat behind this one. As we see Plague Knight boost defend in response. Jin just says, I'm gonna strike with after draw 2, baby. We're going for it. We're going for the Ice Fang. Notably, Ice Fang it winds up here, which dodges the long pitch. So this is going to be a 3-power Ice Fang. And Jin will just jump here and dodge the long pitch. Wow. Jin has to validate his Ultra first. The Ice Fang will deal 3 damage to the long pitch. Long pitch not stunned, however, long pitch cannot hit. Jin draws 2. And Jin, Zeus's Jin off to a lead against the Plague Knight. Plague Knight prepares, back to Jin here. And Plague Knight's I mean, has a good amount of gauge, but is down 10 life. And as we approach kind of the mid game of game 3, of course, this is a best of 3 game, as we've probably said like an hour ago. Preemptive +2 speed, now strike. Spending the grasp. Are we going preemptive spike, preemptive dive? Notably, Plague has this like super option at speed 7 to try to contest, with an after draw 2 on it as well. Does Plague Knight have a EX perfect pitch to counter this? EX perfect pitch would be speed 8. And you can catch your opponent a little bit unaware with that. It's going to be a single perfect pitch. It's going to be the spike. Perfect pitch will trade with the spike. Jin takes 3. Plague Knight takes 5. Jin discards a card and then draws 2 cards at random, and then discards a card at random, and then draws 2 cards. Drops the assault, which was the option that would have beaten the perfect pitch cleanly. Of course, Spike has 4 guards, so we'll trade. And then Jin will draw 2. And this rushdown Jin, I mean, it's kind of rushdown. I mean, it's rushdown E. I mean, it's a very offensive Jin, for sure. Is putting the beating on Plague Knight. And MiX is definitely going to have to make some plays soon. I mean, luckily Plague Knight does have good burst with the Ultra Boosts here, with Serum Supernus, Berserker's Brew. Although one Serum Supernus did get Wild Swung early. I believe one is still in the hand of MiX, though. Wait, is it? No, it's... but MiX is going to have to find some damage soon, because Jin is one of those characters that doesn't really need to, can continue to step on the gas. I mean, we've seen Jin be very aggressive here thus far, and Jin still has 4 cards in hand. But what a commendable turnaround from Zeus. Definitely, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely counted him out at the end of game 1. But Zeus, definitely with the familiarity on Jin here, able to put the beating on Plague Knight in the start of the game. Notably, this is a Swiss format, so one loss will not disqualify you from playoffs or anything. But getting that 1-0 lead, I think, is so important. Just to get your tournament started on the right foot. Although maybe one loss could be like a wake-up call, depending on how you look at it. It all depends on how you mentally frame your wins and losses. That's what counts, really. Especially as you move on to the later stages of the tournament. How you frame your wins and losses is extremely important here. And Jin looking way out in front here. Anyway, it is Plague Knight's turn. At the very least, that was a spike played from Jin and not the assault. Because if it was the assault played from Jin, this game would be... and Jin getting advantage on top of that. Pack him up. Pack him up. Plague Knight is out of slow options outside of triple dose right now, by the way. Both focuses down, both sweeps down. Actually, wait, maybe there's a focus left. I'm a liar. There's a focus left. Both focuses down, both giant bombs down. Serum Supernus coming out from MiX, discarding a block, discarding a dive, discarding a cross, and discarding a focus from Gage. +2 power, +2 speed, +2 armor, now strike, discarding the Staff of Surging after if the opponent's stunned, draw 2 cards. I mean, it's going to be some big bursty damage here. Spike. Triple dose. It's going to be a 7 power triple dose. Oh, spikes are down. This block was free. Really well spotted there from Jin, actually. I was actually kind of surprised he didn't attack it after draw 2 on it, but... Jin drops the Moonsong from hand. Don't like that. I would have preferred maybe spending the Ice Fang from Gage, maybe? Drops the Ice Blade from hand too, taking none. Taking 0 damage. Triple Dose, of course, was 7 power. Triple Dose there. Spending all of the resources there. Of course, MiX will draw 3 cards off the after Triple Dose. We'll take a look at this. I don't think we zoomed in on this card properly last time, but we'll take a look at this card now. Jin with the reshuffle action. The thing about Jin, though, I mean, we look at only 2 cards in hand now, but Jin is a monster in drawing cards, so no need to worry here. We're gonna see a reading come out. What are I mean the reading? So the reading is just kind of cycling. Wait, there's a focus in hand here. Oh no. Okay, so the focus in hand will at least discard the perfect pitch. The perfect pitch will do 1 damage to Jin. Jin will deal 4 damage back. Just unfortunate that Jin's 1 card was the focus. Jin will drop the Astral, which is a little bit sad, but will draw a Constellation Prize off the focus. That's more than a Constellation Prize. I mean, Jin hit back for 4. Are we going to see a big change cards action here? What's going on? Plague Knight down to 5 HP against Jin's 20, and this is pretty shocking stuff here. We're going to see a change cards 1, 2, 3, keeping 2 gauge, looks like. Drawing 4 cards in total. Back to Plague Knight here. Plague Knight will boost Fierce. Back to Jin. Plague Knight. Oh, Jin with the 2nd copy of Preemptive Strike. That's scary. After draw 2, tacked onto it as well. Down 1 spike, so I mean I feel like MiX plays block here. But if MiX plays focus, try to trade. Jin dives over the focus. MiX takes 3 damage down to 2 HP. Jin draws 2 cards off it as well. And are we in the final moments of a round 1 upset in our 2nd game ever? Our 2nd game of the tournament. Our 2nd game of the tournament. Are we about to see a round 1 upset here? Zeus against MiX. Wow, what a turnaround. What a turnaround. Backstep to range 5. Backstep to range 5 from MiX. Okay. I mean, at the very least, MiX can cross out of an Ice Blade. Does MiX have EX Long Pitch? That'd be funny. That'd be a pretty funny thing to have at 6 power, popping the defenses of Ice Blade. Jin does only have 1 gauge, so it does not have the Ice Fang live. Plague Knight may be retreating to buy some time? Question mark? Don't really know. Either retreating to buy time or threatening that EX Long Pitch. And wow. Wow. Back to Jin here. Pinpoint Strike. Spending the Permafrost. Going for after draw 2. Is this the Ice Blade? Wild Swing. Staff of Surging. Ice Blade. Jin takes the set. Zeus Assassin upsets MiX. Oh, wow. That's shocking. That's absolutely shocking. Wow. I have no words. I have no words. I hope you enjoyed the cast. Fun set to watch. Congrats to Zeus Assassin. I'm sorry for writing you off, man. If you're listening to this, if you're reliving your glory, I do apologize for writing you off. But dominant game 3 there over MiX's Plague Knight. MiX drops to 0-1. Zeus Assassin, ZeusPegasus13, his name on Discord, 1-0 up in the tournament. Definitely a very early upset. Maybe we'll see more of these in the future. But, I mean, the game speaks for itself. I don't have very much more to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the content. And we'll see you for the next one again tonight. In a little over 3 hours, we'll see another match. Maybe a little under 3 hours. We'll see a match between Jungi and Chica, so watch out for that. But if you enjoyed the content, remember to hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell if you want to see notifications for more Exceed content in the future. And the future will be in like 2 hours. So hope you guys enjoyed the match as much as I did. A lot of ups and downs, but we will catch you for the next one. Bye bye.